Kasha Varnishkies is a Eastern European meal. It's kind of peasant food. And Varnishkies, I had to look it up because I didn't know what it meant. And it's a Yiddish corruption of a Russian word called a varenichki, which means a small stuffed dumpling. And there actually was a reference to a 1925 recipe for Varnishkies, which were kasha-filled dumplings. We are not going to be making kasha-filled dumplings tonight, which would be more like a pierogi type of thing. But we're going to be making bow ties and kasha with a lot of other things. Alright. Okay, so what we're doing here is, the first thing we have to do is get the water boiling to add the 8 ounces or 3½ cups of, I love this scale, the bow tie noodles. So, take a little peek. Yeah, that's boiling pretty good. So we're just going to add these noodles, just like that. I put a little bit of salt in there, not too much, just a little bit. Stir it up a little bit. Alright, so we're going to let that boil. Alright, right here we just have some regular white mushrooms. It's about 6 ounces, 2½ cups. But I'm also going to include some oyster mushrooms, not in the recipe, which we did grow here at the sanctuary with our little oyster mushroom kit, because I also make this other fabulous fake clam chowder with these oyster mushrooms. Look at how beautiful that mushroom is. Look at that. Is that not a beautiful thing? I left one uncut so you could see the beautiful veins. What we're going to do next is saute these mushrooms, these onions, and a little bit of garlic while the bow ties are cooking. So we got the olive oil here, and they call for 2 tablespoons. Again, some things I just don't measure. I just kind of pour it in. See how it coats the bottom of the pan. Yeah, that looks about right. Maybe it's 2 tablespoons, maybe it's not. So what you're going to do is just turn on the heat a little bit here. Put it on medium. And I'm going to add, let's measure these onions. About 1½ cups. And you're going to heat that oil up a little bit. I used olive oil, as I said, and I'm going to just put them in there. And this is going to get cooking for about 3 or 4 minutes before I add the rest of the stuff, because I like to release the essence of the onion before I add the essence of the garlic and the essence of the mushroom. Might add a little bit of pepper to that, just for good measure. Yeah, that's good. Alright, starting to sizzle a little bit. When you hear that sizzling thing going, I'll lower that heat. I'm going to add these mushrooms here, the regular white mushrooms. We won't add those oyster mushrooms just yet. You know, the more I think about it, the more I think we need to add a little bit of this here wine here. It's been sitting here. Vineyard, Vermont. I'm not going to say much about that wine, although it's very good for cooking. While all this is going on here, you got to get the kasha going, because it's not just about bow ties, mushrooms, onions, and garlic. It's also about the kasha. This stuff here. Not the spaghetti, but the kasha. So, what you're going to do is get 2 cups of water. So you want to get that water boiling. And what happens is, once that's boiling, we're going to add the kasha to that, and we're going to cook the kasha. Alright, so I'm going to add these oyster mushrooms now, because as you can see, the mushrooms here are getting a little brown, and the onions are getting a little wilted. So I'm going to add these oyster mushrooms.
Oh my God, that smells so good.
This is going to be a very interesting combination here tonight. Now we have our 2 cups of water boiling, and we're going to add our 1 cup of kasha. Stir that up a little bit, and then we're just going to lower that heat, because that's just got to simmer there until the water is absorbed. So you got to like check that every now and then. And what's going to happen is, when these are done, everything's just going to get mixed up, and it's going to be a perfect medley. Well, looks like things are just about done here. Here's the kasha. Okay, so that's what your kasha's got to look like when it's done. You're able to sort of do this to it, not do this to it. This is not what the kasha should look like. A gummy mess. What it should look like is more of a fluffy sort of thing, like that. Now we got our noodles, which are all ready. I like these tri-colored bow ties. And then we're gonna add our beautiful mushroom mixture. Okay, so we're gonna get that going in there. That's the kasha. Mix that all up in there. See, and it comes off the pan, doesn't stick to it. This is perfect. This is perfectly cooked. Let's get these little things mixed up a little bit. Oh, and look at how beautiful those little oyster mushrooms look with the bow ties. Check it out. Woo! And there you have it. Kasha Varnishkies. Enjoy your meal in Siberia. This recipe came from this terrific cookbook called Vegan Deli by Joanne Stepaniak. Every recipe I've cooked out of here has been terrific, so you should all get a copy of it and augment your Kasha Varnishkies like I did. And there you have it. There's one more thing that I have to add to this. I'm thinking that it would be a fabulous addition. You get yourself some tofutti sour cream, you throw a dollop of that on there, you spray some Bragg's on there. Don't use salt, just use a little bit of Bragg's on here, and I'm telling you, this is going to be one of the best winter meals that you have ever tasted. And it's pretty good cold too for breakfast. I know it sounds kind of weird, but it's winter now here in Vermont. It's time to eat hearty food like this. So, sour cream, Bragg's, and Kasha Varnishkies. Welcome to Siberia.
This week I've been having a series of what I call my Rodney King moments. For those of you who don't remember who he was, in the early 90s he was beaten by 5 LAPD officers very badly, and they were subsequently acquitted for their actions. That sparked 3 days of horrible riots in LA. People were killing each other, businesses were being burned down, and so on the 3rd day Rodney King got on national television and made a speech that would later become famous, which he started off by asking, "Why can't we all just get along?" And Rodney King was belittled for this, and people were rolling their eyes at the naivete of such a statement. But he wasn't a naive person. He was an anguished person. And he was asking this question from the depths of his soul that, frankly, human social justice rights activists ask all the time. Why do people rape other people? Why are there hungry, starving people? So on and so forth. This is a pool of anguish. Why can't we get along? And what I would like to suggest tonight is that the only difference between human justice issue activists and animal rights activists is their definition of this word "we." Animal liberationists define we as everybody. Why can't humans get along with everybody else? Why do we need to dominate them and use them and exploit them and hurt them and kill them? Why can't humans get along with everybody else? Why do we need to dominate them and use them and exploit them and hurt them and kill them? We see this word as all-encompassing. And so, of course, while there's a laundry list of reasons why people can't get along with each other, let alone everybody else, in the end, all activists need to see, just as they do with human issues, that there is no reason. There's no reason. This is a bunch of bullcrap. It's a bunch of habits. It's a bunch of deeply rooted things that we do, that we don't have to do, and we need to learn how not to do. So tonight, I would ask you, if you're not a vegan and you don't think about animal rights issues, I would like you to think about that word "we" and how you define it, and perhaps allowing your mind to imagine expanding that word just a little bit to include more of the planet. Thanks for watching, and tune in again next time. Take a nap.